Good morning, sir.
Good morning, dear. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
Good
sir.
sir.
morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. So, in the previous turn, we have discussed about the Java Virtual Machine internal architecture. Okay. So, we will continue the same. I hope whiteboard is visible.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir. It's
Yes.
visible.
Okay. So Java Virtual Machine internal architecture. So basically, Java Virtual Machine is having three main components. The first component is class loader subsystem. We have already discussed this class loader subsystem in previous turn. Okay. Yes, sorry, subsystem. Loader subsystem. This is the first component. So here basically in class loader subsystem, we have seen there are three types of class loaders are there. Basically class loader is used to load the class into the memory, load the class or load the bytecode into the memory. Okay. So there are three types of class loader. One is bootstrap. Another one is extension. And the third one is application class loader. Okay. Application class loader. So actually, these all three types of class loaders loads the class from the different path. Now the question is actually class loader loads the class in which memory area? Okay, how many types of memory areas are there in Java Virtual for Java Virtual Machine? In Java Virtual Machine, basically there are following types of runtimes memory areas. The second component of Java Virtual Machine is runtime memory areas. Okay, runtime memory area, in some books basically it is written as runtime data area, memory or data area. So the first memory area, so basically here in runtime memory area, actually there are five types of memory areas are there. So, and among five, basically three are important here. The first one is method area or class area. Okay, method area or class area. Fine. So here, when class loader loaded any bytecode into the memory, here in method area, all class level data are stored. All class level data, all class level data will be stored. Okay. So here, all class level data as well as basically the methods of the class is also stored in this area. Method of the class. So basically what is class? We have already discussed in brief. So class is the encapsulation of data plus method. Okay. Class is the encapsulation of data or variables and methods. Okay. So here methods part, method of the class is stored in the method or class area, and this is shared resource. Shared resource means when you create the object of a class. Suppose if I write a class student, okay, if I write a class student, and if I create the object of student class, means like if I create the student object like student, suppose student ans equal to new student. Okay, so here actually ans is a reference variable which refer to a particular student, that is ansh. Okay, so here student is a class, but ans is a a object reference variable. Fine, means Ans is a student actually. So here actually whatever objects are created with the help of class, all the objects share the method area where actually the methods are stored of the class. Fine, but for each object has its own copy of data. Own copy of data. Right? Own copy of data means if there are two fields, integer age and string name, suppose there are two data, two fields, string age and name. So if you create two objects like student Ans equal to new student and student Deepak is equal to new student. Okay, suppose there are two students, student Ansh and student Deepak. There are two objects actually. Deepak equal to new student. So here in this case, Ansh is having its own copy of age and name, and Deepak is having own copy of age and name. Fine. Okay, but the both share the same methods. Suppose there is a method like any method. Suppose here if I write suppose any method like display information. Suppose any method display information. So basically this display information is accessed by shared by both the objects Deepak as well as Ansh, and these methods are stored in the method area. Acha. Besides methods of a class, actually in class area, all these static variables are stored here. All these static variables are stored here, and static variable is also shared by all the object. Means static variable is also shared by all the object. Means if I write an static variable here in the student class, see if I write a static variable in a student class, and suppose that static variable is static string college name, string college name, college is equal to MNNIT. So it means this static variable, that is college MNNIT Allahabad, is shared by all the objects. Means Ansh and Deepak both share the MNNIT. Okay, but Ansh has its own age and Ansh has its own name. But MNNIT is shared by all the objects of a student class. Okay, so this is shared, and this is stored in method or class area. So this is the first memory location. Okay, now after the basically class is loaded into the memory, the next step is the creation of object. Here you can see that when you write new keyword and call the constructor, basically here when you write student and like this, so actually here a constructor is called. What is constructor we will discuss later. Okay, till then basically what is constructor? Basically constructor is used to construct the object or initialize the object. Okay, here when you call the constructor like this, like method, basically it is called like method. Okay, but the name of this particular method is same as the class name. Okay, the name of method, because here constructor is just like the method. Okay, you can see that it is called like the method, but here the method name is like method name is just same as the class name, so it is called as constructor. And constructor, when you call the constructor, an object instance is created. Okay, class instance is created, that is called object with the help of new keyword. When the new keyword is called, basically a memory location is allocated for object in the heap memory area. In the heap memory area, this is the next memory area, heap. Okay, heap memory area. So basically heap area, in heap area all the objects and their instance variables are created. Okay, in heap memory area, see, in heap memory area all the objects in heap, all the objects and their instance variable, Okay, here Now the thing is, what is difference between instance variable and normal variable is? Okay. Instance variable and normal variable. Like here, Ans and Deepak is reference variable. Okay, Ans and Deepak is a reference variable. So what is instance variable is? Can anyone tell what is instance variable? Means all object and their instance variable.
So variable defined inside a class.
Variable defined in the inside the class. Okay, fine. Here, basically, age and names are the variables, are the fields defined in the student class. But see the difference between instance variable and class variable. Basically, there are two things: instance variable and class variable. Means what is the class variable? Class variable means here like college. College is a class variable because it is the part of class, because it is the static variable, and static variable belongs to class rather than object. A static variable belongs to class rather than object means here each object has its each object doesn't have its own copy of college. Okay, college is the share variable, that is class variable. It is shared by all the objects. It is shared by all the objects. But instance variable means when you create the multiple object like O1, O2, and O3. O1 has its own variable, O2 has its own copy of variable, O3 has its own copy of variable, and these variables is called as instance variable. Means age, suppose age is a variable. So when you create the Ansh and Deepak reference variable, so basically Ansh referred to a memory location in heap area, okay, where the object is created, and Deepak is a reference variable which refer to a separate memory area in heap. And here in both the memory area, separate age variable is created. Separate age variable is created. Okay. Ansh, with the help of Ansh reference variable, you can access this particular age. With the help of Deepak reference variable, you can access this particular memory location. Okay. So in the case of heap, in heap, all the objects and their instance variables are created. Okay. So this is difference between method area and class area. Now the third area is stack. Okay. The third
Excuse
area
me,
is,
sir.
yes.
So sorry for the interruption, but I'm a bit confused in the class area and heap area. Like in C++, I have studied that whenever a class is created, no memory is allocated. The memory is only allocated when the object is created. So when the object is created, the memory is allocated in the heap area. So what about this class area? What is it used for?
Actually, this basically, if you would like to create the object, suppose, fine. So here, actually, until your class is not loaded into the memory, how can you create the object? Okay. If suppose if you write the program and your class is written in your hard disk, okay, so how can you basically create the memory? So basically, first, actually here, the class is loaded in this particular memory area, but here you can see that if you write age and name, so age is of 4 byte of memory and name is basically a string variable. So basically here the memory which is taken by the class is actually allocated when the object is created. Fine. So here in this case, basically actually the memory is created for the maximum in the case of data. Okay, basically there are multiple datas are there in the class. Okay, but here actually the data memory which is created, data memory is always created at runtime when the object is created. Okay, here in the method area only means basically method code is loaded into the memory. Fine. But when the object is created, the objects basically creates the memory for age, name, and all the variables, and basically some pointers basically which points to the method which is loaded into the method area memory. Okay. So basically at runtime, basically please do not confuse with that. Actually the memory is created at when the object is created means basically class is a single entity. Class is like a template. Okay, there is no memory for age and name because there is no basically class is not a physical entity here, but object is a physical entity. Okay, when you create the object, because with the help of object you can only access the method. So when you create the object, actually in that particular case the memory for age is created, memory for name is created. Okay, so basically here basically memories related to the memory of all the datas which are created. Okay, so please don't confuse with that. Basically memory is created when the object is created, means memories of all the data fields of class. Okay, means when you create the object, actually in the heap memory area there is a pointer is created which points to the method area in order to access the method. We will see that things later in the class and object chapter, but actually we need to load the class into the memory. Okay. Until you load, you are not loaded the class into the memory one time. Basically, you need to load the class. But class is not a basically student. What is a student? A student is nothing. A student is a generalized thing. But when you create the object like Ans and Deepak, so Ans and Deepak is the reality. Ans and Deepak is the real means things. Not a student is the real thing. A student is just like a template. When you create the Ansh and Deepak, so Ansh means the memory is allocated for Ansh object and memory is allocated for Deepak object. Okay, तो basically इस तरीके से आपको समझना है, उसको कंफ्यूज मत होइए. कंफ्यूज मींस मेथड, इसी बेसिकली दिस इज कॉल्ड एज क्लास एरिया और मेथड एरिया मींस basically here class is loaded into the memory, class is just loaded into the memory, but actually class is loaded into the memory means the method part. Okay, and all the construct of class like a static variable. Suppose the static variable is not basically located in the heap memory area. So it means static variable is stored somewhere in the memory now. Otherwise how can basically object access the, it means how can we access the static variable? The static, with the help of class only we can access the static variable. It means static variable is stored somewhere. So basically static variables are stored in method or class area. Okay, so something basically which are related to the class are stored in method or class area. Otherwise all the data variables, okay, of the objects are stored in the heap area. Okay.
Okay, sir, got it.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, suppose there are no static variables in the class, then what will be stored in this class area memory?
On basically, if there are no static variable in the class, only basically the methods, all the methods of the class.
So like in this case, we have display method.
Yeah, display methods is stored in the class. Okay. Basically, actually, when you declare something, fine, and like if you declare class, student, and some methods are there and some variables are there. So basically if you declare integer age, so basically 4 bytes memory should be allocated. But so since student is not a physical entity, so age cannot be declared, means if the memory for age is not required. If you declare like string name, so basically memory is not required in that particular case. When you create the object, in that particular case only the memory is created. But in the case of method, because ऐसा नहीं है कि basically all the object is having its own method, ऐसा तो होगा नहीं, all the object is having its own method, क्योंकि method तो same ही है, method basically property of student is same. Okay, so when you create the object, all objects can access the method here, okay, with the help of some pointer internally. Okay, basically when we will discuss the class and object chapter, we will see in detail that basically how the methods is accessed with the help of pointer type of thing. Fine, like एक अच्छा बता ही देते हैं. Just see basically how the method area is accessed. See, if I write like this, student class s equal to new student. Suppose if I write this. So first thing is an object is created, and another thing is my object reference is there. This is the reference variable. So first thing, the reference variable is stored in the stack area. Okay, this reference variable is stored in stack area. This is a stack. Okay, and S is the reference variable. So basically S is a reference variable which internally act as a pointer which points to heap memory area, where actually the object is created of a student. Now come to the heap memory area. Okay, come to the heap area, and in heap memory area, okay, memories for instance variable. Suppose there are two instance variables are there. The memory for instance variables are created like age and name instance variable. The memories for each instance variables are created in heap area. And the another is memories for a pointer to a spatial structure. Pointer to a spatial structure, that is a class. Pointer to a spatial structure is also stored in heap. When the object is created, a pointer is also created which points to a spatial structure, and this pointer to a spatial structure points to where actually it points to. It points to the method area, and in the method area, just see, it points to a spatial structure. This points to some static variable. So actually here it points to a pointer to static variable, and this pointer basically points to all the static variable, if the static variables are there. If there is no static variable, then there is no problem. And there is another pointer like pointer to method. Okay, and suppose there are two methods, so there are two pointer to method are there, and these two pointer to method basically points to different method which is stored in the memory method area of memory. Okay, so here you can see that actually instance variables memories are created in the heap, and reference variable memory is created in the stack. Method and stack variables memory is created in heap, and with the help of internal pointer all are accessed. Fine. So here you can see that there is an internal concept of pointer, not external. Internally basically works. Implicit pointer. These all pointers are called as implicit pointer, not explicit. Explicit pointers are used in C programming type of language. Okay. So this is how basically the memories areas are accessed internally. Fine. तो जो बुक में इस तरीके से है कि ऑब्जेक्ट के समय मेमोरी क्रिएट हो रही है, तो एक्चुअल में मीनिंग ये है कि ऑब्जेक्ट इज ए रियल एंटिटी. Object is a real entity. Real entity means any particular student is a real entity. But student, what is a student? Student is just a class. आप किसी, अगर हम आपसे कहेंगे कि just go to student, तो होगा student क्या? Student means go to a particular student. That is a object. That is an object. Okay. So this is how basically the memories are allocated. Now
Sir,
So this
Yes?
object is created in stack or heap? It should be created in heap, na, I guess.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Object is created in heap. Actually, object है क्या? Object is created in heap means object is having certain properties and certain behavior. Okay, means properties means certain variables like age, name. So all the memories, age and names are created in heap memory area. And the behavior which works on these instance variable is stored in the method area. And here in stack, only the reference variable S, which refer to that particular memory location where the actual object is created. In some book actually it is written as S is an object. Okay, but actually S is not an object. S is a reference variable which refer to a particular memory or location where the object is created. Okay, you can refer the very good book that is. Yes.
सर तो जो ये स्टूडेंट एस इक्वल टू न्यू स्टूडेंट लिखे हैं सर, वो क्या ऑब्जेक्ट बनाया है ना हम?
हाँ, जब आप लिखते हो स्टूडेंट एस एक ऑब्जेक्ट आप बनाए हो इससे न्यू स्टूडेंट, दिस इज ऑब्जेक्ट. फाइन. यहाँ पर ये आपका एक रिटर्न करेगा एक ऑब्जेक्ट को, और वो जो ऑब्जेक्ट रिटर्न हो रहा है वो रेफर होगा एस से. means an object is created with the help of new student when the student constructor is called, and that object is stored in the heap memory area, and that is referred by like this. Suppose अगर हम एग्जाम्पल इस तरीके से लेते हैं, malloc calloc भी पढ़ा होगा ना आपने, like this. malloc calloc पढ़ा है C में? Okay, when you write like this, dynamic memory allocation, if you write this, how can you write malloc, and क्या करते थे हम लोग, 4 into size of integer, fine, like this. And what this malloc will return actually, what is the return type of malloc? Can anyone tell what is the return type of malloc?
Void.
Sir, void pointer.
White pointer. White is written void because you can write here integer, you can write here float, you can write here double. So basically void, you can typecast any type of data variables into the void. So basically malloc returns the void pointer. Okay, so you can basically here typecast integer pointer, but actually in the latest edition of C programming language, basically in C programming language, I hope you already heard about this. You have heard about this or not? C89 standard and C99 standard. This is the new standard. According to the new standard, basically there is no need to typecast here. Okay, but in the old compiler, actually you need to typecast. So basically malloc will return a memory location, something like that. Okay, malloc will return a memory location. It will return a pointer. Pointer means it basically creates a memory in heap. So basically 4 into size of integer means 16 bytes of memories are created in heap, and that is referred by a variable here. So that is referred by a variable at the left hand side. So that variable basically referred to memory which is created with the help of malloc. So similarly here, basically malloc is created at runtime. Similarly, object is created also at runtime. So when you create the object, so memory is created in the heap. बस उस मेमोरी के एड्रेस को कहां से एक्सेस करोगे? तो बेसिकली दैट मेमोरी एड्रेस इज एक्सेस विद द हेल्प ऑफ पॉइंटर लाइक ऑफ थिंग दैट इज अ रेफरेंस वेरिएबल. यहां भी तो एक पॉइंटर ही मिलता था आपको ना, इंटीजर टाइप ऑफ का पॉइंटर. बेसिकली दिस पॉइंटर p points to this pointer p points to a memory location. So basically actually this p is stored in the stack. Similarly this p is stored in stack in C also. Similarly here s is stored in stack, but actually where the object is created, that is in heap memory area. Okay, अभी कंफ्यूजन दूर हुआ. नाउ अभी आप एकदम बुक से कंफ्यूज मत होना कि एस इज ए ऑब्जेक्ट, कई जगह लिखा रहेगा. जस्ट गो थ्रू दिस पर्टिकुलर बुक. दिस इज वेरी गुड बुक, हेड फर्स्ट जावा. Okay, in this book,
yes,
basically,
sir.
Okay, just go
sir,
through
could
this
you
book.
please clear one more thing?
Yes.
So that static variable and instance variable we can understand, but static variable then?
Okay, good. Static variable and instance variable. Actually here, see, so there are two types of variable I have discussed. One is static and another one is instance variable. Okay. Static variable and instance variable. So suppose there is a class student. Fine, student class, sorry, there is a class student. Class is a keyword, student is the class name. And in class student, suppose there are three variables. One is integer age and another one is string name, and suppose the third variable is string college name. Suppose there are three variables out there. Okay, so here when you create the object, three objects, suppose if I create three object or two object, student s1 equal to new student, student s2 equal to new student. Suppose there are two objects, fine, s1 and s2 are the reference variable. So when you create like this, so when you call the constructor with the help of new keywords, so actually the memory is created. जैसे malloc calloc से memory create होती थी, similarly here with the help of new keywords, memory is created at runtime in the heap memory area, and that is referred by s1 and s2. When the memory is created, so in the case of s1 is stored in stack, s2 is stored in stack, and here S1 refer to a memory allocation where the memory for age, where the memory for name, where the memory for college name is created. Similarly for S2, memory for age, memory for name, and memory for college name is created. Suppose there are 100 variables are there, sorry, there are 100 objects are there. So 100 times 100 copies of age, name, and college names are created. But here in this case, so here basically at a particular moment S1 is created, sorry, object is created which is referred by S1. Another moment another object is created that is referred by S2. Suppose at another instance S3 is created, S4, S5, S6. Suppose 100 times 100 objects are created. So here age, name, and college, here in this case all are instance variable because all are the means all the object has its own copy of age, own copy of name, own copy of college name. But in certain cases, basically college name, suppose in a particular example, yeah, in a particular program, suppose I would like to mention that all the students belongs to a particular college, that is MNIT Allahabad. So is it necessary to basically create 100 times memory for MNIT Allahabad? Means basically of all the objects are created S1, S2, S1, S2 up to S100. So basically MNIT memory is created for here, and separate memory is created where MNIT is stored. As for S3 MNIT is stored. So basically here you can see that basically the memory is wastage because this MNIT is shared by, is common for all the variables. तो ऐसा होना चाहिए कि MNIT is means just allocate a memory single time for MNIT, and all objects which is created like S1, S2, S3 share the same memory location rather than creating separate memory location for MNIT, for storing the MNIT. So basically in that particular case, you need to declare that particular variable as a static in nature. When you create any variable as a static, so that particular variable is shared by all the object, and now that is shared by all the object, it means object की अपनी copy नहीं है, वो share कर रहा है. It means that particular variable belongs to class rather than belongs to object. So that type of variable is called as static variable or class variable. Okay, means one time only memory is allocated and all the variable basically access the same memory location rather than creating its own memory location. But age, name अलग अलग होगी सबकी, तो in that particular case all the variable has its own copy of memory. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So so in this way, basically the memories are created for static variable and instance variable. Now, so in runtime memory areas, runtime data areas, we have discussed class area, heap area. Yes.
सर अगर क्लास के अंदर हम लोग तीन इंस्टेंस वेरिएबल बना लें और ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर हम लोग सिर्फ दो को ही यूज करें, सपोज हम लोग एज ले ले, कॉलेज नेम ले ले और रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर ले ले, और हम लोग जो ऑब्जेक्ट में यूज कर रहे हैं वो सिर्फ कॉलेज नेम और रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर ही यूज कर रहे हैं, तो फिर हमारी ऑब्जेक्ट की जो मेमोरी है वो कितनी होगी? तीनों के अकॉर्डिंग होगी या फिर जो दो यूज किया उसके अकॉर्डिंग बनेगी?
नहीं, देखो क्या है कि जब आप ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्रिएट करते हो तो जैसे एज है और आपका नेम है, तो बेसिकली एज एंड नेम हर एक ऑब्जेक्ट्स के लिए क्रिएट हो जाएगा. ठीक है, अगर आप उसको इनिशियलाइज नहीं करोगे तो वो डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू के साथ इनिशियलाइज होगा. मींस जैसे इंटीजर अगर आपने इनिशियलाइज नहीं किया तो 0 बाय डिफॉल्ट इनिशियलाइज हो जाएगा. स्ट्रिंग आपने इनिशियलाइज नहीं की तो बाय डिफॉल्ट वो नल करके इनिशियलाइज हो जाएगा. लेकिन वो हर एक कॉपी क्रिएट होगी. आप उसको यूज करते हो कि नहीं करते हो, यूज क्या करना है, मींस यूज करना यही है कि उसको मेथड के अंदर यूज कर सकते हो उसको पर्टिकुलर, या नहीं यूज कर सकते हो. तो वो आगे हम लोग देखेंगे. अभी तो ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड के बहुत से फीचर्स देखने हैं कि क्या अभी ये भी होगा कि कौन कौन से वेरिएबल आप एक्सेस कर सकते हो, कहीं बाहर की नहीं एक्सेस कर सकते हो. देयर आर सर्टेन एक्सेस स्पेसिफायर्स आर देयर, तो वी विल डिस्कस इट लेटर. बट ये है कि आप अगर ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करोगे, इफ यू क्रिएट्स द ऑब्जेक्ट, तो बेसिकली ऑल द वेरिएबल्स मींस ऑल द इंस्टेंस वेरिएबल्स मेमोरीज आर एलोकेटेड इन द ऑब्जेक्ट. ओके,
सर.
ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किए वो एक ही वेरिएबल में उसमें एलोकेट होगी मेमोरी, दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट किए तो तीनों मेमोरी क्रिएट हो जाएगी. इस तरीके से नहीं होगा. राइट, स्टैटिक, बेसिकली स्टैटिक इज शेयर्ड बाय ऑल द ऑब्जेक्ट. ओके
Okay, sir.
okay, now come to the stack area, stack memory area. So here you can see that object reference variable is stored in stack. And what other thing, basically stack area is for method calling. Okay, stack area is for method calling. इसको भी C से मैप कराने की कोशिश करेंगे. तो आई होप यू हैव स्टडीड द रिकर्शन इन C programming, ना? You have studied recursion?
Yes, sir.
So basically,
Yes, sir.
when you call any function, so basically that particular function is loaded into stack. If you call suppose any function, so basically function is stored in stack, and then suppose another function is called. So f means suppose if initially f1 is called, and from f1 if you call f2 means like this. If I write f1, and within f1 if I call f2 function, and if I call f2, so basically control goes to the f2 function, and suppose in f2 function if I call f3 function, so f3 is stored in the stack. So similarly in the case of Java also, for every method call, actually for every method call, one entry will be made in the stack memory area. For every method call, in the case of Java, for every method call, one entry will be created or will be made in stack memory. And this entry is called as stack frame. This is just a terminology. Okay, stack frame. एक terminology दे दी गई है. This is a stack frame. Fine. Now, since Java is a internally multi-threaded, means Java supports the multi-threaded programming approach. Here, suppose if in a single program, if there are 3 threads are running, in a single program, if there are 3 threads, T1, T2, T3, एक ऐसा करते हैं stack area के लिए एक separate page ले लेते हैं. Just take a separate page for stack area. Suppose in a single program, and when the program is executed, actually if you write a program and if the program is executed, so basically it becomes a process. Okay, when any program is executed, that become a process. Like if Microsoft Word, if you see the Microsoft Word, when you run the Microsoft Word, so in the task manager you can see that a process is created for Microsoft Word. So Microsoft Word is a program, but when you run the program of MS Word, so a process is created. Okay. Now, in a single process, if I take the example of Microsoft Word, when you open a page of MS Word, fine, a process is created, fine. If you open the page of Microsoft Word, so here you can see that there are different sub-programs are running behind. Sub-programs are running behind means when you write any text or any paragraph in Microsoft Word, you can see that a background spell check is running. A spell check is also a program. The spell checker is also running in background. And here in the MS Word, when you write any paragraph to at the means end of MS Word, yeah, in that you can see that line count, word count, line count, word count is also mentioned in this particular page. So how basically line is counted, how the word is counted, how the spell is checked, basically all is done by some sub process some process is running, sub process is running. Basically MS Word is a process. In this process there are different sub processes are running. So basically this is sub process is called as thread. So a thread is executed basically, which is responsible for execute spell checker. A separate thread is executed concurrently, which is responsible for line count. A separate thread is executed which is responsible for word count. Okay, so in this way multi-threading is achieved in this case of MS Word program. Similarly, in the case of Java, when you run any program, so internally you need to write at least a main method. Okay, means a main method is required in order to run any program in C or in Java also. Okay, in a class basically you need to write the main method, public static void main. Okay, basically in Java you need to write like this, public static void main. ये अभी हम लोग आगे देखेंगे, we will see it later. But so here basically when the main method is called, so actually in the basic program only a single method is called. So basically a single thread is created, that is the main thread, and in main thread actually a main method is stored in the stack. So suppose in a single program if there are 3 threads are there, suppose there are 3 threads are there, so for each thread a separate stack is created. हर एक thread के लिए a separate stack is created for each thread. So if there are 3 threads, so 3 stacks are created in the memory. Okay, so suppose here in a single program, suppose there are 3 threads, so 3 stacks are created in the stack memory area like this. This is a stack for thread T1, this is the stack for thread T2, this is the stack for thread T3. Okay, and in thread T1 multiple methods are called. So suppose M1 method, M2 method, M3 methods are executed by thread. So these all are stored in stack, and each entry is called as stack frame. Similarly, in the T2, suppose M4 is called, M5 is called, and M6 is called. Similarly for T3 also. So in this way, in stack method calling means methods are stored, and method calling is basically stored here for each thread. Now, so this is a stack memory area. The next area,
Hello,
memory
sir.
area, yes.
Thread क्या है sir? Sir, what is thread?
Okay, basically thread is just like a process, but it is a light-weighted process. Okay, light-weighted process means process basically what is process first thing? Before understanding the thread, first you need to understand the process. Process क्या है? देखो ये पूरा ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम आप पढ़ोगे when you are going to study the operating system. So basically the detailed discussion of process and thread will be discussed in that particular syllabus. But till then, just understand that what is a process. So when you write any program, जब आप program लिखते हो, when you write any program, and when you are going to execute that particular program, okay, when you are going to execute that particular program, so when the program is running, a process is created for that particular program. A process is created for that particular program. And now how can you see the particular process? Means basically in the window operating system, just go to the task manager and you will be able to see that how many processes are running in the memory. Okay, means आपने देखा है task manager? Have you observed any times task manager?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So basically in the task manager, multiple processes are running for each software. Yeah, each means each software basically. Suppose MS Word का software है, तो MS Word process is also running when you open the MS Word software या MS Word page. So but in MS Word page actually ये तो एक process run हो गई, but in a single process there are multiple sub processes are running. There are multiple sub processes are running internally, and for the execution of each sub process, a thread is created. Now, how the thread is created? So basically, in the Java, Java facilitate a thread class. Okay, we will discuss in the thread class chapter. Basically, with the help of thread class, we can create thread. And when we create a thread, after the creation of thread, we can assign some sub task to a particular thread for the execution. मान हमने एक thread create कर लिया, thread यहाँ पर एक object की तरह behave करेगा. अगर हम Java के बारे में बात करें तो thread basically if you would like to create a thread, तो basically you need to create the object of thread. अब object बन गया तो object is having certain functionality, तो वो functionality क्या होगी? तो basically object is having certain functionality, तो means in order to execute some task, basically you need to create a thread. And और अगर आप thread नहीं create करते हो तो basically internally जो main thread है वो काम करता ही करता है. So, but in the case of Java programming language, there is a facility to create user thread. User thread, basically there are two threads, types of threads also. One is user thread, another one is system thread. System thread is created by the operating system internally, and user thread is created by the programmer. Okay, means you can create your own thread and you can create a job or task and just assign this task to a thread which is created by you. Means if I create a thread T1, suppose with the help of thread class, so I just need to create a task and assign this task to T1 for execution, T1.run for the execution. We will see this thing in detail when we will discuss the multi-threading chapter. तो अभी देखो सब कुछ एक ही क्लास में मींस पूरा नहीं हो पाएगा. जब हम मल्टी थ्रेडिंग पढ़ेंगे तो उसको हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे at that particular time. Okay, this is just the overview. Okay, thread is a separate chapter. In that particular chapter, we will see how can we create the thread in Java and what is the requirement of creation of thread. Okay, means what is the need of creation of thread is that. Okay. क्या हुआ? What happened? Is it clear? तो देखो अभी सब कुछ क्लियर नहीं होगा. बेसिकली अब थ्रेड का एक चैप्टर है तो वो पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ेंगे तब क्लियर होगा. तो सो मींस डोंट बी कंफ्यूज्ड now because this is the introduction of Java virtual machine, and here when we discuss the thread, when we discuss the class and object, when we discuss the access specifier and all those things, then we will discuss that thing in detail. Okay, तो अभी सब कुछ पूरा डिटेल में डिस्कस नहीं हो पाएगा because if I am going to create the thread in this particular class, so basically there are certain features of object oriented programming are required to discuss. Okay, अभी आपको MS वर्ड का एग्जांपल समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? एक प्रोसेस और सब प्रोसेस मान के चलो. एक बड़ी प्रोसेस है, उसके अंदर की एक छोटी प्रोसेस है, उसको थ्रेड मान लो अभी थोड़ी देर के लिए. एक बड़ा सा प्रोग्राम रन कर रहा है, उसके अंदर छोटे छोटे प्रोग्राम है. या मान लो कि एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोग्राम था, उसके अंदर बैकग्राउंड में भी छोटे छोटे प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट कर रहे हैं. दैट प्रोग्राम इज एग्जीक्यूटेड बाय द थ्रेड and the large program is basically executed by a process. Means a process is basically created for a large program. Okay, now when we will discuss the thread, so we will discuss that thing in detail. 1 or 2 lecture is devoted for multi-threading. So in that particular lecture we will discuss that thing in detail. तो अभी शुरुआत में इतना भी जान लो बहुत है, अभी उसके आगे देखा जाएगा. So this is stack, and now the next thing is next memory area is program counter register, runtime data areas. So here in the stack area, suppose there are 3 threads are there, so 3 stacks are created, and program counter is also for each thread. Similarly for stack memory areas या stacks are created for each thread. Similarly program counter is also for each thread, because here in each thread there are multiple methods are called. So actually in a single method actually which particular instruction is executed. अब देखो एक चीज और है, suppose a method is executed, in a single method there are multiple instructions are there. In a single method there are multiple instructions are there. Means like this method, suppose this is the method. In a single method, there may be multiple instructions are there. Multiple instructions are there. Instruction may be anything like printf calling, just in C programming, printf, scanf, all are instructions. Suppose if I write sum equal to a plus b, this is just an instruction. Okay, if I write print sum, so this is an instruction. So there are multiple instructions are executed within a single method. So actually, which particular instruction is being executed currently? Okay, so that is basically tracked by the program counter register. So here each thread will have a separate PC register. हर एक थ्रेड का अपना एक रजिस्टर मेंटेन होता है. If PC register is maintained for T1 thread, PC register program counter is for T2 and program counter for T3. Okay. And this program counter basically stores the current executing instruction. Program counter stores the current executing instruction. कि कौन सा instruction execute कर रहा है इस particular time पे. So that is basically tracked by the program counter instructions. Whiteboard is visible or not? एक second.
No, sir.
Okay, okay.
No, sir.
Okay, अभी शायद हो गया हो. Now I think it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, program counter specifies the address of current executing instruction. It specifies the address of current executing instruction. So basically, these two memory area, stack area and program counter is for each thread. Okay. अब वहां तक हम पहुंच गए कि कौन सा इंस्ट्रक्शन पे अभी एग्जीक्यूशन चल रहा है. Now the last memory area is native method stack. Native method stack means in order to execute certain program, there are certain functions which are written in another language like C or another type of language like C or C++. Suppose if a Java program would like to execute certain other function or system level function. System level function means operating system function or system call. System level function. So basically that is called by, that is basically, Java program basically interact with C program function with the help of a interface that is called as Java native interface. Means Java program interacts with the C program with the help of Java native interface. So here basically native methods are stored in native method stack. तो यहाँ पर C और सिस्टम या ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम पे जो भी फंक्शंस होंगे वो स्टोर होंगे. तो नेटिव मेथड फंक्शंस means C function or system level functions are stored in native method stacks, and with the help of Java native interface, these all function can be executed. Okay, so that is the another topic, that is Java native interface, means how Java program call the C functions within it. So that is the another type of thing, another type of program with the help of Java native interface. So basically that native methods are stored in this particular memory area rather than stack area. In stack area, basically Java codes are stored. Java methods, basically with Java methods addresses are stored here in this particular area. Which particular method is called basically here for each thread, actually which particular instruction is being executed in the memory. So the address of that particular instruction is executed here, stored here. So basically this is all about the runtime data areas. And so the first component is class loader, and after that runtime area for memory area. And the last one is the execution of program. Okay, after the memory is allocated, the last part of Java virtual machine is execution engine. Execution engine. Execution engine. So in execution engine, basically what execution engine will do, execution engine will takes the bytecode from the runtime area. It takes or reads the byte code from the runtime memory area. Byte code from the runtime memory area, or runtime data area, and execute it. How it executed? So basically there are following subcomponents are there in execution engine. The first component that is responsible for program execution, that is interpreter. So in basically Java, command is for interpreter. After the compilation, with the help of Java-C, byte code is generated, and byte code is run by interpreter, that is Java command. Okay. And the another component of execution is JIT. JIT means just in time compiler. Just in time compiler. And the third one is garbage collector. Garbage collector. So there are three subcomponents of execution engine. So what interpreter will do? Interpreter interprets the byte code and execute it. Okay, interprets the byte code and execute it. Interprets the byte code according to the machine in which Java virtual machine is running. Over which Java virtual machine is running. So it interprets the byte code and execute it. But the problem of interpreter is, suppose if a single method is called multiple times, suppose 100 times, suppose a same method is called multiple times, 100 times. So what interpreter will do? Interpreter interprets this method 100 times. 100 bars interpret karega according to the Java virtual machine. Okay, but that is not time efficient, because the same method is called 100 times, and 100 times basically interpretation is required. No, that should not be the time efficient approach. Okay, so in order to basically solve this problem, just-in-time compiler came into existence. What just-in-time compiler will do? First, just-in-time compiler basically run parallelly with interpreter. Okay, internally just-in-time compiler run parallelly with interpreter. And what just-in-time compiler internally do? Just-in-time compiler is having a component or program that is hotspot profiler. Hotspot profiler. What it will do? What hotspot profiler will do? Hotspot profiler will check, scan the byte code and check which particular set of instructions will be executed multiple times. Okay, so suppose here what just-in-time compiler hotspot profiler find that this particular M method is executed 100 times. Okay, so just-in-time compiler take that particular method and convert that particular method into the system level code, that is convert this code into the native code that is understandable by the machine. Okay, as per Java virtual machine. Now, so only one time this interpretation is required, and when actually this method is called, so actually that particular corresponding native method is called. हर बार interpretation की जरूरत नहीं है, means 100 times interpretations are not required. Okay, with the help of just-in-time compiler, only a single time interpretation is required, and then when that particular method is called, so with the help of that interpreted on code or native code, that particular code is executed. So there is no need to interpret again and again. With the help of just-in-time compiler, performance can be improved for the repeated method call. पहले नहीं था, बाद में इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ just-in-time compiler का concept. Otherwise, interpreter will take very long time in Java. Okay, in this way, basically, yes.
So is it like inline method like that is present in C++?
That is inline method. You can say that, but not very similar like that. Okay, you can say
okay, sir.
that, but not exactly similar means like inline method in C. Okay, inline यहाँ पे भी आएगा आगे, तो हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे इनर क्लास और ऑल दो थिंग. इनलाइन मेथड की तरह है, लेकिन वो पूरा उसी तरीके से नहीं है. यहाँ पर जस्ट इन टाइम कंपाइलर बेसिकली जस्ट ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट द कोड विच इज रिपीटेड and one time basically convert this code into the native code that is understandable by the machine, and when that particular method is required, so basically that native method is called in order to execute that. हर बार करने की जरूरत नहीं रहेगी. और वो भी एक सेपरेट मेमोरी लोकेशन पे स्टोर होगा, तो उतने डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे कि वो कहाँ से अब उठाएगा. Now the last
Sir,
yes.
Sir, this just-in-time compiler converts the whole code into native code or just the part which is repeated several times?
Just the part of code which is repeated several times. Okay, not whole code. Basically, interpreter and just-in-time compiler works together. Interpreter takes the help of just-in-time compiler. Interpreter interprets all the code except the code which is repeated. Fine. तो सबको जस्ट इन टाइम कंपाइलर नहीं करेगा, वो बेसिकली जस्ट इन टाइम कंपाइलर ओनली टेक्स द कोड विच इज रिपीटेड मल्टीपल टाइम्स. Okay, so the last component of execution engine is garbage collection. Garbage collection. This is another important feature of Java. Garbage collection, this is for improving the performance of memory utilization. Memory utilization means sometimes the object which is created in memory and the object which are not recently used, which are basically rarely used. So after some time, basically what garbage collector will do, garbage collector basically collects all the unreferenced object, all unreferenced or not frequently used object in the memory, and removes all such type of object in the memory, such type of objects in memory. All unreferenced object means an object is created but that is not referred by any particular variable. Suppose means you are not having a certain reference variable which refer to a particular memory location. It means that memory is wastage. Okay, so basically here unreferenced objects should be deleted so that other objects gets memory in that particular memory area. Otherwise that memory is occupied. So garbage collector basically takes the help of mark and sweep algorithm. पहले mark करता है कि कौन कौन सा है, फिर sweep कर देता है. Okay, basically this is just for the general knowledge. Basically garbage collector is itself a very big topic. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss in detail. Basically, in order to understand the garbage collector, okay, mark and sweep. So basically, in order to understand this thing in detail, you should know about the computer organization course and operating system. Okay. So there is basically not much required here. Basically the basic thing is only required. Basically mark and sweep algorithm is used for the garbage collection. Actually in the Java interview also basically only these all concepts are required. What is the need of garbage collector? Actually garbage collector takes the help of mark and sweep algorithm internally, and it is used to improve the performance of memory, and it is used to basically for efficient memory utilization, efficient memory utilization. So only these basic concepts are required, And mark and sweep algorithms are internally triggered by a method that is the method of system class system.gc. The GC is for garbage collector. So basically this is the method of system class. And here you can see that this method is called by the class name. So basically this would be static method. Okay. तो static keyword का भी अलग से हम लोग देखेंगे. What are the uses of static keyword? So this is all about the Java virtual machine. Now I think you will be able to understand the basic idea behind the Java virtual machine. And now we will start the first chapter, that is class and object. Okay, the first feature of object oriented programming language. So this is all about the introduction of Java programming language and Java virtual machine. Now come to the one by one, we will discuss one by one features of object oriented programming language. So what are the features of object oriented programming language? एक बजे के बाद लंच के बाद ही खा लेंगे. Features of object oriented programming. So we have already discussed the features of Java programming language. Features of Java programming language. Now we will discuss what are the features of object oriented programming language. So basically in object oriented programming language there are following features. One is class and object. So first we will discuss this thing, class and object. After that we will discuss another features like encapsulation, inheritance, then abstraction and polymorphism. So basically these all 5 features are the object oriented programming feature. If I delete this inheritance features, so basically if any language is having class and object encapsulation, abstraction and polymorphism, that particular language is called as object based language, not object oriented. That particular language is called as object based language. Example of object based language is I think like JavaScript. Yeah, JavaScript is object based language. So here basically we will discuss the object oriented programming language, and class, object encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction and polymorphism features are there. So first we will discuss what is class and object. Okay, what is class and object? Now class, object. So basically class, you can say that a class, if I define a class, so class is a group of object. Group of object means if suppose in a particular class like a student, so there are many students are there in a class. So we can say that this particular class is a certain groups of object. Okay, and these group, all objects is having common properties. Okay, this all classes, this all object is having common properties. So again, if I define a class, so we can say that class is a group of object. Okay, group of objects, which is, and all of means a class is a group of object which have common properties, So actually or in some other word, we can say that it is a template or blueprint from which objects are created. It is a template, class is a template, and with the help of that template we can create multiple objects. जैसे एक फॉर्म होता है, आप भरते हो तो हर एक फॉर्म स्टूडेंट भरेगा तो अपना अपना भरेगा, तो बेसिकली क्लास इज लाइक ए टेम्पलेट. Okay, and class is not a basically physical entity. Physical entity means like if I take that example of class, suppose a student is a class, या employee is a class. So employee is just a template or a group of means certain class of yeah, we can say that basically here it is not a physical entity. So if just like Amit is a student, okay, Rohan is a student, Neha is a student, right? But what is a student? A student is nothing itself. A student is nothing. Amit is a student. So Amit is a physical entity which is having the properties of a student. Rohan is a student which is having the property of a student. Suppose if I take a class of flower, so flower itself is nothing, but rose is a flower which shares the property of flowers. Okay, lotus is a flower which shares the properties of flowers. Okay, so here the object is a physical entity or real world, any real world entity. Any real world entity is called as a class. Anything which really exists. And so object is a real world entity that really exists physically and can be distinguished with each other. Can be distinguished with each other means Amit can be distinguished with Rohan by their properties. Okay. So similarly, rose and lotus can be distinguished with each other by their properties. So if I define an object, so object can be defined by many ways in different books. Basically, objects are defined like this. The object is a real world entity. In some book, it is mentioned that it is a real world entity which physically exists. So student, basically, rose, lotus, all are physically exist. And it is a runtime entity. Runtime entity means it is created at runtime. When the program is executed, an object is created in the runtime area like heap area. Okay, an object, any object is having, yeah, any object has state and behavior. This is very important thing. Any object is having certain state and behavior. State and behavior means at particular time of what are the values of the fields or property of that particular objects. Like if I write student class student, and there are two variables, integer age and suppose double salary, या double not salary तो student का होगा नहीं, integer age and integer roll number suppose. Okay, so these two age and roll numbers are the state. Basically this age and roll number defines the state of a student. State of a student means a particular student is having age this and roll number this. हो सकता है इन द नेक्स्ट ईयर द कुछ और स्टूडेंट आएंगे उनकी एज अलग है, रोल नंबर अलग है. स्टेट एंड बिहेवियर, तो स्टेट दिस इज स्टेट एंड व्हाट आर द बिहेवियर मींस व्हाट बेसिकली दिस ऑब्जेक्ट्स बिहेव्स by using certain functions. So basically here the variables defines the state and methods of class defines the behavior. Behavior means suppose any student can read and write. So read and write are the behavior. Simply read and write are the behavior of students. Right? Okay. So object is having certain state and certain behavior. So if I say that student is a class, and a particular student, is can be, you can say that as an object. A particular student is an object, like any student, like Amit, Rohan, Neha, etc. Similarly, like another example, any person is a class which is having certain features, means certain state and behavior, and a particular person is an object. So basically behavior, so there are two things, state and behavior of object. So state of an object is defined by the various fields or various variables और fields of class. जो class की fields declare की गई हैं वो defines the state of an object. And behavior is basically defined by the method. And when you combine state and behavior, okay, when you combine state and behavior, so basically you can say that that's an object of a class. Okay. So the definition of object is a real world entity, runtime entity, or in some book basically also means object is having state and behavior. An object is an instance of class. This is another definition. Object is an instance of class. Instance of class means at a particular moment what is the values of particular object. हो सकता है आज आप प्रोग्राम बना रहे हो तो किसी पर्टिकुलर स्टूडेंट की एज को ये डिफाइन किया, एक साल बाद बनाओगे तो एज चेंज कर सकते हो. तो बेसिकली एट पर्टिकुलर मोमेंट व्हाट इज द वैल्यूज या व्हाट आर द स्टेट ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर ऑब्जेक्ट. तो ऑब्जेक्ट इज एन इंस्टेंस ऑफ क्लास. मींस डिफरेंट टाइम पे स्टेट चेंज हो सकती है एंड डिफरेंट टाइम स्टेट्स कैन बी चेंज. तो ऑब्जेक्ट इज एन इंस्टेंस ऑफ ए क्लास. So these all are the definition of object. Fine. Now, so how can you create the object? Okay, how can you create the object? So how objects are created? Yeah, how basically before creation of object, how can you write the class? Class लिखेंगे कैसे? So basically in order to define the class, how the class is written means how the class you can write the class. So basically what is the syntax of writing class in the program? So basically writing class in the program, the syntax is class is the keyword. Okay, class is the keyword. C is in a small letter. C is not in capital. Okay, class is the C is in a small letter. Class and then student. Class student. Here, this is the name of class. Then opening and closing braces define the scope of class. And after that, basically, you need to define the properties. Properties or properties of student. Properties of student means like integer age, string name, means all the data fields. Data fields or variables, which defines the properties of student. Data fields or variables. And then behavior. After that, behavior or action. So what basically this behavior and action is defined by the method. So basically generally method performs operations over the data. Methods performs operation over the data. However, if I write like this, void talk is the method. Void talk is the method. And another method is suppose void read is the method. Suppose there are two methods. So these two methods defines the behavior or action of a student. However, basically in generally the methods of a student, methods of a particular class performs operations over the data. Right? And here you can see that these data fields and methods are glued together. Yeah, encapsulate together. And this encapsulated entity is called as a student. Means here the data and methods are encapsulated. And this encapsulation is called as a class. Right? Okay. So after the creation of object, after the creation of class, the next thing is class to create ho gayi, but how can you create the object of that particular class? How can you create the object of that particular class? See, because जब तक object नहीं create करेंगे, class के functionality को हम access नहीं कर सकते. We cannot access the functionality of a class without the creation of object. So in order to access the functionality, talk and read, yeah, we need to create the object of a particular class. How can I create the object of a class? The syntax is syntax of object creation. Syntax of object creation. Syntax of object creation. The syntax is any class name like student, then object reference name equal to new is the keyword, and then class name. So here the constructor is called with the help of new keywords. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Now you're audible.
Okay, actually, there is a problem of electricity. Okay, fine. So, fine. So this is the syntax of object creation. Class name, object reference variable is equal to new class name. And when you create like this, so basically with the help of new keyword, object is created in heap memory area. We have already discussed, and this is object reference variable. This is stored in the stack memory area. And now I just share my screen and try to write a program of object creation. I stop sharing and means I just share my screen. That means okay. I hope the ID screen is shared.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here you can see that I will just write the program here. So if I create the Java class, suppose the Java class name is basically you need to write the class name where actually the main method is mentioned. Okay, it means you need to write the class name same as the class name where actually the main method resides. Like if I write here the test class, suppose test is the class. Okay, here you can see that this is public class test. So here I just write the public static void main. Okay. And like this, public static void main. Now, so actually in the main method, when the program is executed in Java programming language, so initially the main class is executed. Okay, and when the main class is executed, so you need to basically write you need to create the object in this main method. Okay, string arg like this. Okay, so here basically this is a string array, and this is arg is a variable name. You can write here a also, no problem. So I just create a student class, suppose. So here first I need to create a student class student. एक student class बना लेते हैं, class student. So here you can see that now there are two classes are there. One is student class and another one is main class. Okay, student is a class and another class is test or main class. You can call it as a main class. Why it is called as a main class? Because this is having the main method. Okay, किसी का mic on है, please switch off the mic. Okay, so there are two classes, class student and main class. Basically, why the main class is required here? Because in order to execute any Java program, basically first you need to call the main method. Okay, now so in the student class, if I just write integer age, okay, and suppose another any integer age and integer roll number. Suppose there are two variables, integer age and integer roll number. Okay, okay. Now, so these two are the properties of a student class, integer age and roll number. And suppose if I write here a method which is used to initialize age and roll number, age और roll number को हमको initialize भी करना है, तो if I write here a method like void insert, suppose insert is any method, if I write here insert, and there are two variable integers, so we need to pass two argument here in order to initialize both the variables. Right? So here if I write age equal to a, means if anyone called the insert method and passed two parameter a and r, so age means age is assigned to age, and roll number means r is assigned to roll number. Fine. Okay, so this is the insert method. So here, but what is the significance of age and roll number and initialization if there is no object? No, there is no significance. So we need to create the object. So in order to create the object in the main method, because initially the program is executed from the main method. So here in the main method we need to create object. Student, suppose s1 equal to new student. Here a object is created. What is the problem here? As a student means as a small, इसको as capital कर देते हैं. Just write as capital here. Okay. So here you can see that variable s1 is not used. S1 is a reference variable, okay, which refer to a particular object. This is not used, so we can use it. Means after the creation s1 dot. So basically there is a, we can, with the help of s1 we can a, because s1 is the reference variable which can access the properties of student. So s1 is having its own copy of age and roll number, and s1 can access the insert method also. So here you can see that insert and age and roll number. So suppose here if I call insert record, so if I write here in the place of age, suppose if I write 20, and in the place of roll number if I write 2000, suppose 21 and 54, suppose this is the roll number of S1. So there are two variables, and similarly I creates the another object student h2, and similarly insert h2 dot insert. Suppose this is 30 and this is 44. In this way you can see that there are two objects are created. One is referred by s1, another one is referred by s2. Okay, Now the thing is, it means there are two objects are created, S1 and S2, and S1 age is 20, S2 age is 30. Suppose if I would like to print age of S1 and age of means age of S1 and age of S2. So if I would like to print, so in order to print, there is a class system, and in the system class there is a variable, out variable of print stream type. Print stream is also a class, and now there are various methods. So I will take only print method or println method. And the method means S1 age is. So basically here you can see that in the println method, if I write anything between double quote, so this is treated as a string, and exact it is printed like this. Okay, means if I run suppose this program, and if first we will see there is no error, and here the output is S1 age is, but S1 age is, we need to print the value of S1. So here basically S1 age is a string, and in order to basically concatenate any other thing with this particular string, there is a operator, plus operator. This is for string concatenation. So here S1 dot age. So here you can see that S1 dot age. So what is the problem here? Okay, S1 dot age is यहाँ पर लगा दें. So here you can see that S1 age, S1 dot age is 20. So 20 is printed. Okay, S1 dot age. So S1 age is 20. S1 age is 20. Okay, so in this way, basically you can see that the variables or fields of S1 means object which is referred by S1 can be accessed. Here you can see that you can initialize the age and roll number with the help of method. And another way, suppose if I would like to initialize the value of age and roll number, अब हम ऐसा करते हैं कि insert function हटा देते हैं. Just I remove this insert. Okay, and now if I print this line, S1 age is 0. So 0 is basically the default value of age, default value, because I am not means here basically insert is not called, and if insert is not called, so age and roll number is not initialized. So how can I initialize again S1? So if I write this S1 dot age equal to 20, if I write this, is there any problem? No, we will be able to access. Here you can see that you will be able to access age because S1 is having its own copy of age and roll number. If I run the program, so S1 age is 20. Okay, fine. Now, ये क्यों बता रहे हैं? Because here you can see that you will be able to access data directly. You will be able to access data directly. But this is not a best security practice. Means any object means here basically if I will be able to create the object of a particular class, so I will be able to access data directly. So data is basically direct. We interact with data directly here like this. But suppose if I declare this, if I declare this data type as private, then the problem is if I run the program, so problem is error is generated. Error means you will be not able to access age now because it is having private access, and private data cannot be accessed by the object directly. Okay, private data cannot be accessed by the object directly. So this is the thing. Okay, so इसको प्राइवेट हटाना पड़ेगा अगर हमको एक्सेस कराना है, या तो अदर चॉइस क्या हो सकती है? व्हाट आर द अदर चॉइस इफ सपोज इफ आई मेड द डेटा प्राइवेट? नहीं, डेटा प्राइवेट ही होगा. डेटा शुड बी प्राइवेट. This is the means best practice. You should make data as private always. Okay, data, you should make data private. So with the help of private data, basically you can achieve the data hiding features of Java. Data hiding features of Java. Data hiding means the data is hidden. So now the thing is, if the data is hidden, so how can you access the data? So basically data can be accessed with the help of method. Data can be accessed with the help of method, which is public to all. Okay. So method should be public and data should be private. Method should be public means method is means should be public means data is sensitive rather than method. Okay, so you cannot directly manipulate the data. In order to manipulate the data, basically you need to call the method. Okay, in order to manipulate the data, you need to call the method which is designed by the programmer. So according to programmer, you can modify, you can play with data. But if you are able to access data directly without method, so you can play with data in that particular case. So in this way, basically data hiding can be achieved. Fine. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically this is the simple program. In the next one, we will discuss class and object in detail. Basically, actually there are three ways. There are three ways to initialize the object. The first way here, by the reference variable, like with the help of S1 and S2, you can initialize the object. Initialize the object means initialize the age and roll number here. Initialize the object means initialize all the field of object. Because if you are not going to initialize it, basically by default values are generated here. So the first step is first way of initializing object is by using a reference variable. The second, by using the method like this, insert, by using the method. And the third one is, that is very important, by using the constructor. So three ways, by reference variable, by method, and by constructor. So we will see all three methods of object initialization. Object initialization means all the fields are initialized. Okay. So how? Basically there are three ways: reference variable, method, and constructor. So we will see these all concepts in the next lecture. So I will write different programs and show you basically how different techniques are used to initialize the object. Fine. In this program, basically in the next one, we will also discuss why the static keyword is required, why basically the public is written here. Okay, if you do not write public, what is the problem here? Fine. What is the significance of string array arguments? Fine. Basically, we will discuss these things in detail in the next lecture. Okay, is there any problem? You can ask the question, otherwise we will meet in the next lecture.
Hello, sir.
Okay, yes.
Sir, can we define more than one main method in a Java program?
You can basically more than one main method. So suppose if I define the more than one main method, then now the thing is how Java virtual machine will be identify actually which particular method should be called first in order to means the thing is. So basically if you I think if there are more main methods are there in Java program, so the first confusion is created for the Java virtual machine to actually from where the program is executed. The solution may be if you write the program and set the program name as the class name which is having the main method, जिस class के name का आप main method दोगे actually में वहां से program शुरू होना चाहिए. Okay, this may be the solution because there are two classes, so there are two different names of classes. Fine. But if you write the program and name the program with the help of means with the name as a with the same name as the class name, means here you can see that I just again share the screen. Okay, 1 minute. Yes, here in this particular case you can see that I saved my program with test.java. because test is having the main method. If I save the program with test.java, now Java virtual machine will be able to identify actually from where the program is, from where the Java virtual machine starts the execution of the program. Suppose if I create the two main class, तो actually हमने इसको check करके तो नहीं देखा है, but the thing is if you are written two main class, the problem is for the Java virtual machine from where the program is executed, and so actually there is no significance like that. But if you write the two main method, and suppose if I write another class but name the program name as the class name of this particular main method, so actually the program starts from here, fine. But the again problem, but that thing, so actually the another main method is just like the normal type of method. जो अदर मेथड होगा वो एक नॉर्मल मेथड की तरह बिहेव करा सकते हो आप. अब लेकिन ये भी चेक करना पड़ेगा, इसको हमने चेक करके देखा नहीं कि एरर आती है कि काम कर जाता है. इसको अगर ट्राई करके देखते हैं, सपोज इफ आई राइट हियर क्लास सपोज टेस्ट t1, let's write the text t1, and suppose if you write void main, same public static void main, if you would like to return, just I write the same method public static void main. So there is a problem, public static void main test s1 dot age. Sorry, inner class आ गई. Okay. Now, so here you can see that there are two classes are created. One is test and another one is test1. Okay. And now I remove this private keyword on s1.age here. And if I run the program, so here you can see that select the main class. So if I select the test class, so here the test class is selected and the program is executed. So here, if you write the main method two times, the program is executed. The first thing is, but you need to give the Java virtual machine the exact location of the main method. There are two main methods, but you are going to execute the program from here only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Great. Okay, so we will meet on Wednesday to discuss object and class in detail. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.